What if you could take that risk, make that change, reach that goal, live your best life? Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast, where we get together with amazing experts and everyday people who share challenges, encourage healing, and explore the possibilities that life has to offer. I'm your host, Gary Scott, and I'm excited that you're along for the ride. Welcome back to another episode of What If You Could, and part two of our interview with Tracy Jepson, where today we're going to discuss branching out into more business ventures, new and securier deals and arenas, creating wealth, health, building, overcoming, and enjoying life with self-care. But before we get to it, thank you again for listening, watching, and just being with us. And please, no matter what sort of platform you're listening to us on, please like, share, subscribe, and just let us know how we're doing, if you're enjoying our content and the amazing guests that we're sharing. So thank you again, and welcome back to What If You Could, part two of our interview with Tracy Jepson. That being said, with meeting that doctor to help you with what you're doing and also the sobriety, is that what led you into Lux Wellness? Is that what
It is.
kind of
Yeah,
made
that
you say,
was
I want to
that was
share more?
definitely it. So my husband and I were going to an infrared studio in Kansas City, which is about 45 minutes away from where we live, because there wasn't anything in Topeka like that. And we were going, and all I knew is when we would leave, like I would sleep so good that night. And like I just started feeling better. I had a sauna blanket at home, but they're not the same. Like it's not the same being in the cool sauna blanket as it is being in the actual infrared sauna that with the full spectrum. Like
Mhm.
what it does to your body is different. And so again, sort of like the progression of I want to take care of myself and prioritize, and I want to share it with others. I could have bought a sauna and put it in my house and been quite happy, but I thought, no, let's partner with the doctor who is going to be opening up his practice, and put in infrared saunas and cold plunges so we could do contrast therapy. It is also life changing. It's as life changing as stopping drinking. It's like the energy that 48-degree water can give you. And I realize that sounds crazy because I would never dive in it. I'm not a dry suiter. Um, but that daily dip into the cold plunge, like your endorphins just shoot through the roof and you leave there. Like I was out golfing in 102-degree heat for a 2-day tournament. And the first thing I did was go get in a sauna and a cold plunge, which sounds again counterintuitive, but it's so good for your muscles to recover and your blood vessels and circulation and all of these other things. So even if you're in the heat, this is a very different kind of heat and it's a different way that your body reacts to getting out those toxins.
Mhm.
But I had more energy after that 2-day tournament because I did that contrast session than I have ever had. I mean, it is my body like craves that contrast therapy. So again, I want to do it. I want to share it with others. I want to show them why they need it. And Gary, the really interesting thing is the people who we thought were going to be our target market, athletes, younger people. You see all this cold plunging on TikTok. Everyone's, getting all these ice bags and all the things. So that's not what it is. Like we actually have chillers and it's very calm and serene. Um, Perimenopausal and menopausal women. We have people in their 50s, 60s, 70s who come in. We even have like an 80-year-old gentleman who's a guest of ours, but coming in because it makes their hormones balance. It makes their cortisol levels drop. It
The,
really
the,
starts to
the
help balance
cold, the
things.
cold plunge,
Yeah,
uh,
the contrast therapy between
offsets
the,
the
yeah,
hormone balance.
it
I
does.
the only reason I know that I'm laughing is because I'm sure you've seen it too. Like you said, TikTok and all these things, like Joe Rogan and Dana White and all these celebrities now are doing these challenges, like who can make
Mhm.
1 minute, who can make 2 minutes, who can. Um, and I think we have a mutual friend. I don't know if you know Bethany from Alaska, who's a diver.
Yes.
She dives in 30-degree water. I'm like, dude, that's insanity to me. It's
Yeah, that's
insanity.
crazy.
And we've talked about doing the cold plunge, Elisa and I we just haven't done it. I'm sure there's a place in the desert, but that's interesting about the hormones. I mean, I've heard it does a lot of different things to the processes of your body, especially circulation, especially your blood vessels, your visceral fat and things like that. It alters
And just
that.
mobility, it just helps you, it does help you recover quicker. So even if you're not, an Olympic athlete or even a CrossFitter or anything else, even if you're 50 and walk around the park or you're chasing after kids or grandkids, you're going to be sore from doing something or moving, putting the wrong thing on the top shelf and you twist the wrong direction. That cold plunge can really help quicken recovery significantly. And it is the mobility that some of our older guests are members because they just want their bodies to continue to feel good. But that improved circulation that it really helps with, I mean, it's going to help keep their bodies healthy, you know, for years to come just by doing something that's as simple as a cold plunge. And not everybody wants to buy one and put it at their house and have to do all these bags of ice and all the nonsense.
No.
So again, that's why we have them, we use them, and the studio is doing really well. And it's all about educating people as to how we can help heal their ailments, without medication, anything like that. Like, it's a really interesting methodology that's, wildly popular around the world. And I think even coastally, this is definitely more popular. Kansas, we're usually the last to get everything around here. We haven't legalized weed yet. So we're the last to do about anything in this country. And we know that the educating people and teaching, our community as to why they need this and how it can help them is really kind of our biggest hurdle right now. And that's what we're working on doing. But it's that progression from business one and burnout and learning what I should have been doing to now teaching that to other entrepreneurs, having a second business, being able to balance them, my team, giving me free time and enjoyment. And then now sort of this final health journey that I'm on and being able to share that with people. It's kind of almost feels selfish to me. But at the same time, I know how good my experience is, and I want other people to be able to share in those.
So, not besides the cold plunge, you said you've got infrared. Are there supplements? Is there a juice bar? What else is in the Lux Wellness Studio?
Yep. So we don't have a juice bar or anything like that. We do, we'll sell a few things like elements. Those are my favorite electrolytes to do. We actually sell a ton of those through our dive shop because they're great between dives on a surface interval. But Summit Health is the practice that's actually inside of Lux. And so those doctors and that medical team does IV therapy, vitamin injections, that kind of thing. They don't do medical weight loss. He does pretty holistic weight loss type of stuff. But we do have, IV therapy for, rehydration or, better absorption of vitamins, that kind of thing. So we do have a couple of other things. We do have a little bit of space left, and we're kind of just waiting to see either what the next modality is that people, really start to cling on to, or that we start to find helpful for ourselves. And we'll kind of expand from there. We do have a second location planned that we want to get up and going here in the next month or so, and are really looking forward to that. Mostly, again, the more we can kind of spread this out, we can educate people a little quicker as to what it is and help more people.
I think it's so amazing because ever since I was a child, I've always been the one weird health guy. In school, there was always like one chef salad that they put out there that probably was 3 days old. I was the salad guy. Even in my yearbook, they wrote the dude who ate salad every day. I just and I started supplements young. I think it's so amazing, and I love when we run into someone who's 80, right? And you think they're 60. And either we meet them snowboarding or diving. I mean, how many times do we run into a 70, 80-year-old diver, and you're just
We
like,
have a brand new one in our open water class this weekend. He's 78 years old, signed up, getting certified, coming to Fiji with us. So he's already signed up for his first trip and is going to be doing checkout dives here in a couple of weeks with us in Arkansas. So you can start that at any age, but you can only start that at that age if you're healthy.
yeah, exactly. And so what you're doing encompassing all this together, and I kind of just want to go back to flying fish because there's so much there also. I mean, so you're in Kansas, which doesn't have a coastline. If I remember, I'm not great at geography, but I don't have a
We
coastline.
don't.
And then you guys said, well, let's have our own pool. So did you guys buy an aquatic center or take over management of aquatic center or something to do your dives?
Yeah, so we had always planned, knowing, again, I realize it's escalated very quickly in business, but our intention was always to open a pool and have a swim school. We know that owning water, I'm a math person now, not when I was in college or when I was young, but I know that owning water is expensive and that if you don't utilize it to its fullest, it will never it will never work. And diving simply isn't going to support a pool. It just doesn't. Mathematically, it doesn't happen. So we knew that we were going to have a swim school, which also was going to help meet a need in the community. And we were going to be very intentional about where we put this on the east side of town, because there's a demographic that we really wanted to make sure had access to swim lessons. And so we were always planning a pool, built the design, everything, got ready to get to the point where we're ready to break ground. And because of the pandemic, building costs just skyrocketed. What was starting out as a $2.5 million building was going to be an almost $6 million building. And you can't make up those numbers in just adding a few more swimmers on a period of time. So we put it on hold, but it was still a goal that we needed to make happen. And so we were having a conversation, and I said, who do we know that has a pool? And my partner, Chris, my business partner, he said, I have this guy in my flying club. So Flying Fish, the name of it. My instructor, when I was going through my certification, said that I was a fish, and my business partner is a pilot. So Flying Fish is actually where that name came from. It does happen to be a really cool fish, but that is not, like, that is how the name came about. So he said, there's this guy in my plane partnership that owns a pool, an old YMCA that he's got a gym in now. And I said, call him, get a meeting. He's like, I don't know him. I go, I don't care. Get on the phone, call him. Like, you have his phone number. Why didn't you tell me this 6 months ago? We go and we have a meeting with him, and we kind of tell him what we want. We say, hey, we want to take over management of your pool. No offense to them. They didn't do a very good job of it. Like, it was not a great pool, but it was huge. And it's a short course pool. And
Is it
so
indoor? Is it an indoor?
it's indoor pool, short course, like, fabulous.
Okay.
And so he said, sure, which was not really the response I was expecting.
Were you expecting a battle? Like, you can't have my pool?
A little bit. I don't actually know what I expected, but yes was not the answer, especially that quickly. But his response, and
So
this
did
kind
that
of goes,
worry you when he said yes so quickly? Like, uh-oh, what did we get ourselves into?
it did, because there was a but here's what I want that
Yeah,
came after that. And he said, I want condos or apartments. And I said, I don't know what that means. And he says, I think the building needs to be apartments. And this is an old YMCA. This is a massive, like, 50,000 square foot, 60,000 square foot building. It's huge. And so in my normal style, I said, sure, we can do that. Gary, I don't know what that meant. I didn't know what condos meant in this scenario. And so we kind of went into a letter of intent partnership with him that we would take over full management, repairs, water, everything of the pool, but we would get it to ourselves. And we would be allowed to run our programming however we want, as long as we kept one lane open for his members. And at the same time, worked on a plan to turn the building and convert it into apartments. So we have
you're gonna take an old YMCA,
yes,
and turn the YMCA rooms into apartments.
50 of them.
I love it.
It's going to be a mixed use building. We have the design
That would kill
done.
out here in California, to be honest with you. You should take that
stunning.
nationwide, seriously.
I would love to. It's a little bit of an expensive venture, but we're kind of thinking about going the historical route. The building qualifies as a historical property, and so we are going to go down the route of having that done so we can get some tax credits kind of in it. But we've got an incredible plan to sell some of the units for investors, and we'll manage the apartment complex, but we get to keep our pool, so we don't necessarily have to go build one, because we'll actually control and maintain that. And because it's mixed use, we'll have some more commercial stuff inside the building as well. So again, as those plans start to unfold and we start to share them, I'm super excited about it. But that's kind of led me down this new real estate development, is just all of the ideas that can come with that. But for us, it is 100% like, we want the water and we need that pool. And we've got over 150 kids in swim lessons now. This summer, we joined in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. We gave them part of a grant, and they wrote a grant. So we are working with the Boys and Girls Club. They're there twice a day for 6 weeks, getting swim lessons, having private pool time, so they're not out at the public pools and, where anxiety might be. But we are giving kids who never would have had a swim lesson otherwise lessons during the day. So my mission of reaching certain populations and partnering with a community, like an incredible community organization to help kids, to help water safety, and to just advance that, the kind of the next generation of swimmers. Like, I have goosebumps right now. Like, this is everything that I wanted from the pool. So no matter what we have to do to get it, if it's build apartments, I'm going to do that to be able to continue the mission of water safety and education for anyone we can reach.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you don't know how many lives you're going to save, honestly, because drowning's the real deal. I mean,
Yeah.
drowning takes out a lot of kids every year, and the
And
heart attack
adults.
causes. Yeah.
Adult males are one of the highest populations of drowning victims. And it's, in teenage boys, men and boys are typically, males are the highest population of drownings. And a lot of it is, people say, oh, it's boys being boys and they're messing around. Well, it also can end in tragedy, and we don't want tragedies. We want to do anything we can. And unfortunately, there are some generations and populations and demographics of people who didn't grow up swimming, or their parents didn't, so they never taught them. And so we think we can create true generational change in Topeka with being able to serve kids that wouldn't normally get swim lessons and the enjoyment of water. We teach adults how to swim. So we have adults enrolled in our swim school. So, it's not just about, getting them in at 6 months old. If they're 80, they can come to a swim class and, get enjoyment than they wouldn't have otherwise had. And the progression that comes from that is they become healthier and they can go to work and they can make more money. Like, starting with swimming and starting with healthy activities and getting our community healthy creates better jobs, creates more money, creates more income, and improves our economy. And it sounds interesting to say that all of that can be stemmed from a swim lesson, but it can.
Yeah, and there's so much there. Again, you just keep setting my mind down rabbit holes. But I've been a lifetime swimmer because I drowned at 2. I almost died. So
Mhm.
my parents put me in swimming lessons. But I've just been a swimmer my whole life. I love it, from swimming in school, water polo, whatever. You know how much I love the ocean. I've always been an avid swimmer, and the beauty of it is it's probably one of the most healthy things you can do for your body, especially once you get into my age bracket. Like Elise and I are we were workout people, like hard workout with the weights and stuff like that. And then you realize as you get older how much gentler you need to be on your joints and your ligaments, but still get that aerobic and muscle exercise, which swimming provides, which is awesome. But the other part of that is, I just want to go back to the real estate again, because that's just my thing. We're becoming a renter's nation, and there's such a limited amount of housing everywhere.
Yeah.
Communities just don't build. So I'm curious about that, what you're saying, because in California, they're repurposing everything, because they won't let you build anything in California, as much as they scream about homelessness and we need more homes, but they just won't let you build it. There's too many, problems. So they're taking malls and they're taking all these old things and they're repurposing them into housing.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal. So what you guys are doing there is really a big deal as far as adding additional housing to places that need it. Who knows what you'll end up doing with that, knowing how you are. Um, but also, I want to come back to what you said about the swimming being such a catalyst for the entire community. And I
Mhm.
know some people, like, I just got goosebumps too. I Because it means something to me, right? And I know a lot of people will say, well, that's completely stupid, or that doesn't make sense, or she's just prepping her pool. But the truth of the matter is, with the obesity challenges that we have in our country, with lazy kids, horrible diet, if you can take what you're doing, I mean, your whole world, and I had a great guy that you'd probably like. Did a podcast with a guy named Dr. David Wright, and he was a medical doctor like your friend, and he's left traditional medicine and he's gone into holistic medicine because he lost all faith in traditional medicine. Anyways, going down a rabbit hole there, but what he's doing was so attracted to him too, and what I could see, if you could take a kid or a teenager or an adult who struggled for financially forever, and you could get them focused on the swimming, because it's such a mind body thing, swimming, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's just such a healing, cathartic thing. And then maybe you can add in, like you do with your training, your healthcare, get them swimming, get them active, get them healthy, thinking about a better diet, and then thinking about what are you going to do with your life? You know, what are you thinking about financially? How are you taking care of your resources? I mean, you don't want to shove stuff down people's throat, right? They just want to come swim. But
Right.
knowing that you've got this entire sphere of physical health, mental health, financial health that you can offer people, right, and help people. It's just like, again, I mean, I got goosebumps because we so desperately need that right now because just everyone's so unfocused, everyone's so unhealthy, everyone's so broke. I mean, what you're doing is awesome, kiddo. It really is. It's just amazing what you're able to, because those three things are just so crucial. It's crazy.
And I think for me, it seems obvious how they all go together. But what sometimes externally people see is, oh, Tracy's really busy, or oh, she has all this stuff going on. But at the end of the day, like my purpose of being here is to help other people. I want to be able to impact my community or influence someone in some way. And, social media is such a screwed up um place to be for so many reasons. And, you know, the number of likes that people want on posts or, that kind of thing, like it's just become a real challenge for our teenagers and mental health and all kinds of things. And I will share all of these things and talk about what I do. And it's amazing to me, like the posts, if they don't get likes, the posts, if they don't, get shared or your friends don't comment on them. But what happens is the conversations that happen off of social media are, I saw that you were doing this. How can I help? I saw that you were doing this. I'd also like to do that in my life. How do I do it? So people watch what you do. And so I share all of these things and I come on podcasts and I talk about this, not because I want to hear myself talk, but because I know that people will take action because they hear somebody else doing it or they hear of the opportunity. Like this isn't just about like, oh, Tracy wants to, build this cool little empire, which is fun. I enjoy that, not gonna lie. Like
It's a
it's
good
a good
thing.
time for me.
It's a good
But
thing.
at the same time, like the number of people who I know do something because of what they've seen that we've shared or that our businesses are doing or how we're able to help people, like that brings me joy. Like it makes me so happy to be able to improve other people's lives because, if you're not having fun in business, you're doing it wrong. But I also believe that if you're not helping people in business, that you're doing it wrong also. And that we have an opportunity to make change. And that's what we want to do. But again, those social determinants of health that all the community reports put out and that everyone talks about, and they think, oh, we need to make all of these things happen. Swimming, just as a basic activity, meets a lot of those needs. It meets, you're like you said, it happy, like I think it was what Elle Woods in Legally Blonde was like happy people, work out and then like happy people have endorphins and those people don't kill other people. Well, swimming gives you endorphins and being healthy makes you want to eat better. Like you don't feel super good about yourself and start losing weight and gaining muscle and doing things from swimming and then want to go eat like a cheeseburger on a regular basis or fast food. Like your body tells you what it wants to eat and you will start eating healthier as you improve it and as you work on your stamina and your core strength and all of these things. Like then once you're eating better and you're working out and you feel really good, you're going to feel good enough to go to work every day. You're going to want to go show up. You're going to want to go volunteer. You're going to also then go wanting to start telling other people why you feel so good and how you feel good. Like that's where messages start to spread. And that is how change occurs. And it can just happen again, from a simple swimming lesson.
It can happen very organically. And the
Yeah.
reason I'm doing this, um, I was doing a podcast with a good friend of mine, who unfortunately got very sick from his grief and stuff. But he lost his wife. I lost my wife, both to cancer. We've been friends for 30 years. And we just started having these conversations just to try to get him through because it had recently happened for his wife and it's been 10 years for my wife. And so I said, we should probably start sharing this with other people, especially to men, because men just won't talk. I mean, it's not
Right.
acceptable for men to share grief, to feel vulnerable, to cry, and all this stuff. So let's start a podcast for men in grief, to try to open them up, right? And like you said, no reaction on social media, right? But behind the scenes, I was getting calls constantly. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I think I'm an alcoholic, or dude, I can't get over the loss of my job. I feel like I'm worthless, or, my wife and I just, just all these conversations, people reaching out. I'm like, holy crap. There's a ton of pain out there. There's a ton of grief out there, not just the loss of a spouse or something like that. So I thought I wanted to take it in a different direction. I wanted to meet, I wanted people to be exposed to people like you, right? I wanted people to say, if you just, like Zig Ziglar used to say, you know, get up, walk to the mailbox. Tomorrow, walk to your mailbox and then your neighbor's mailbox and come home. The next day, go to the third mailbox. He goes, you don't get up and run a marathon. You don't have to, but you have to start because, like you said, once you start feeling better physically, you start feeling better mentally. And I've heard people say, God, I can't get a date. I don't want a date. I can't find a decent person, right? I'm saying, well, change your diet, exercise, because you feel like crap. So you're projecting that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't want to be around that. So just start with yourself slowly, and you'll see all of a sudden the changes just from changing those little habits, right? And
Yeah.
that's what you're doing. You're getting people to say, get in the pool, you know, now you can eat a little bit better. Now let's take a look at your lifestyle. And like I said before, all those things that you're encompassing are just going to change lives. And it just starts just that little bit like what you're doing, just sharing, just you sharing like you're doing. And you're going to run those people going to go, yeah, she's just egotistical and she's building this business and all this, blah, blah, blah. But I don't care. I don't care a crap about what they say. And yeah, I know you don't either. It's like, listen, what I'm looking for is the people who call me and say, Trace, I can't believe how much better I feel. I can't believe how you've helped me. I can't believe you saved my life. And you're like, I think all I did was get your butt in the pool. I don't
Yeah.
remember doing all this other
Like
stuff.
I invited you to do a sauna session, or I invited you to take a swim lesson, or
Or
to
you
do a
listen
try
to
scuba.
one of your
You know,
podcasts. They just
yeah.
they just heard you sharing what you're doing. You're not shoving anything down anyone's throat. You're very open. You're very sharing, and you don't know how many lives you're going to change by that. It's a huge thing. So, I just had two more little things I want to cover, and with all the stuff that you've done, I know that there had to be some hiccups, some hurdles, some curveballs, some challenges, some heartaches. Maybe share some of those with us real quick and how you kind of got through those, over those.
Yeah, one of the things I don't share a lot about, and it's not because I'm ashamed or anything like that, but as our kids are older now, so it's a little bit easier, I feel like, to talk about, but I never wanted to talk about it when they were young. So when I married my husband, he had 3 kids, and so I became a 28-year-old stepmom who never wanted children. And I can tell you, one, that was the single most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. And with that, it was all of that chaos that was going on that made me say, okay, I'm going to leave this over here. This is not my circus. Like, I'm going to go leave that to the kids and their mom and their dad, and but like they can go focus on their thing. And so I dove really, really hard into entrepreneurship. No, no pun intended with scuba diving, but like I focused so hard on being successful and doing something for me. And while self-care is important, and while you are your biggest priority and all of those things, like I kind of, like, some things really went off a cliff with it, and was so into what I was doing that I sort of just ignored everything else that was going on. So I ignored my marriage. I ignored the fact that you should still date your spouse, and that, that there needed to be good conversations. And, our marriage really, really suffered when my biggest focus was getting us out of debt and starting the company to make that happen. My time boundaries were terrible. I worked all hours of the day, 80 hours a week. Like, my ability to put work down was not there. And so I learned that boundary issues with time and, not having email on my phone and, things that I do today that I didn't do at the beginning were a huge downfall. And we went through a point where we were ready to get a divorce. Like our marriage was really, really suffering because all I focused on was making my business better or making money to, meet a goal or something else, and wasn't focusing on the things right at home. And that was definitely the biggest challenge that I ran into first, and knowing that I needed to reprioritize my life. Like that was a really hard thing, knowing that I was while both people definitely contribute to that, I had a huge role that I needed to look at in that and think, is this what I want to be doing? How do I really want to spend my time? What do I want my life to look like? And starting to journal that and really create that picture and say, this is what I want it to look like, and really start doing those things, not just saying them. That was a big downfall. Probably the other kind of the other thing is, and this goes really into entrepreneurial things, but it did create burnout and some stress along with it, was hiring the wrong people too quickly, or the kind of debacle with bringing on the partner, or trying to put a warm body in a spot that needed to be filled in an employment role that was not the right person, or that they didn't have the right values for the company, whether regardless of what company it was for. I've had, staff in all of our companies, but making sure that you hire slow and fire fast was something that I learned along the way, and definitely hired too quickly in some circumstances, and it costs a lot of money. Frankly, it just becomes a really expensive thing. You can lose clients over it. You can lose customers over it. People get angry. Making sure that those team members and really defining the culture that we wanted was probably a challenge that we didn't address soon enough in a couple of the companies. Honestly, it's still a daily challenge, right? Like still making sure that we're adhering to the values of that company, and that the people are, and that we've got the right team. Kind of making that dream work. Like I can't do all of this by myself. Like I have wonderful team members in all entities, and couldn't do any of that without them. So making sure that we have great people that our clients love and that kind of thing. So yeah, definitely hire slow, fire fast is a good one that I wish I would have known a little bit sooner. But those are all like very expensive financial mistakes too.
Well, and the thing is, it never ends, because you'll get a great employee who's awesome. They're doing a terrific job. They're a team player. Everything's great. And then they start thinking, I could do this myself. I don't need Tracy. I don't
Hmm.
need Chris. I'm going to start doing my own thing. And so they start demanding more until they have to go. Right. And
Yeah.
then, unfortunately, we don't want any harm to anyone, but they go off and crash and burn. And they come
Hmm.
back and go, you know, maybe I was wrong. Maybe you guys have a secret sauce. And it's like, I can't bring you back. You've shown what you are, and it's unfortunate, and I'm sad about it. I've experienced that a bunch of times, with my business. But you've dovetailed and kind of answered what my last question was. But I do have one more. You've been so gracious with your time. I know you're so busy and stuff, but I just have one more thought, and I guess it's just I like to ask folks, and I should ask it before. People said you should have asked me this before, I could have thought about it, but I don't like to do that because I want it to be top of mind. It is um this my goal, my soul, and I'll share with you when we are diving about the experience Lisa and I just had. But my soul forever has been helping and healing since I was a child. I don't know where it came from. And so I'm very excited about trying to build this podcast and my therapy thing to help people. So um, if you're going to leave us with one thought and say, this is something that's a core to me, this is my heart, and I want to leave you with this, what would be that one thing that you kind of a thought maybe you want to leave us with as we sign off?
I think it would be open to new experiences. Be open to the idea that everything that you know could be different, and that it may not be the right answer for you, for somebody else. And being open to learning new things, being open to being vulnerable, being open to trying something that scares me or that I think is crazy or would taste weird. I mean, just anything. Be willing to learn and experience things that are out of the norm that you wouldn't normally want to do, and try new things and go new places and experience other cultures. Like that learning, and that's how you grow. When you learn how other people are doing things and seeing the other side of it, even if the food you try tastes bad, you don't like it, at least you tried it. Now you know. Like otherwise you just had an idea of what the experience would be. If you think that not drinking would be really hard and it would be hard to go out to happy hour and you wouldn't know what to do, try it. See what it does. See if what your opinion, what your idea really matches up with your reality. And I would say that in any part of your life, just be open to new things.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's just exactly, home run for my beliefs. And I can't thank you enough. I can't believe we blew through this hour. I mean, you're so inspirational. You've got so much going on. So I love that you're doing the healing, you're doing your coaching, you're going teaching. So we'll post it on the website and stuff. But how can people reach out to you? Do you have a website for your coaching? Do you have something that you want to just offer to somebody as far as what you're doing, so we know about what you're doing there before we sign off? I'd love to see if you could share with people on that.
Yeah, absolutely. If they visit my website, which is tracyjepson.com, they can find out all about coaching and entrepreneurial things. If they come follow me on Instagram, it's probably my favorite social media site. You won't see me posting a lot on Facebook. That's where my assistant posts for me. But Tracy L. Jepson on Instagram, I kind of share all the things there. So I share diving and entrepreneurial things, sober things. It's been kind of a hodgepodge. Also, you'll see a lot of fall football games coming up here pretty soon because again,
You're a big
making
K-State, right? K-State.
huge, yes,
Oh
big
yeah.
K-Stater. Got to make sure that we're cheering on the Wildcats. So, but no, I mean, those are where you can find me, and I usually link out to Flying Fish Divers and other sites like that from my personal one, but it's wide open. It's not a private page. My life is pretty wide open. And again, if I think I can share an experience that can make a difference in somebody else's life, I'm going to share it.
You already are, and it's freaking awesome. I'm excited. So, all right, kiddo. Again, thank you so much. Your time is valuable. Thank you for giving some to us, and I appreciate everything you're doing, and I know people will get a lot out of this. So I
Awesome.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having me.
All right, kid. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of What If You Could podcast. Please subscribe, like, share, and give us any feedback. We'd love to hear it. And remember, if you can dream it, you can do it. See you next time.